Hey guys, welcome back to Outdoor Tactics. My name is Robert. Today we're going to be looking at the Matthews Fabrication cheek riser. We're going to be walking through the installation of mine on my Christensen Arms Mesa right behind me. It's going to require very little tools, very little time, and it's going to massively up your marksmanship game if you're not happy with your existing comb height. So let's get into it. Things first, what is a cheek riser and why might you want one? Well, pretty much every comb height on pretty much every bolt action coming out with a sporter profile stock is too low. These rifles seem to be stocked for iron sights for some reason. So if I come in here and I get down on my stock the way that it's designed to be used, with my cheekbone resting on the top of the stock like so, I'm too low. I'm looking at the bottom of this rear lens on my Leupold, and that's kind of annoying because when we go in to do precision shooting from the prone or from a bench, if I get a good consistent cheek weld on the rifle, I'm not able to look through my scope. So bringing that up means that I can get really consistent cheek weld on my rifle and look through my scope at the same time, which is going to lead to better accuracy and less issues with parallax. By not having to crane your neck up off that stock, you're one, going to fatigue less, and two, you're going to have less parallax issues. Parallax is a killer when you start to get out to more extended ranges, which this rifle is built for. On something like, let me get it out real quick. On something like this Ruger American Ranch with a little 2-7 Vortex on top of it, chambered in 350 Legend, it's not a super long range rifle, so I don't really care all that much about parallax becoming an issue. This is like a 200 to 250 yard gun for hunting. But when I get down on this cheek riser, it's the same idea. I'm looking through like this Picatinny rail instead of looking through the optic. Now granted, the scope cover's on, I can't see through the optic anyway, but whatever. So this suffers from the same issue, and in the future, if I really wanted to, I could add a riser to this one as well. But for a precision longer range rifle like the Mesa, it's almost a necessity. So let's talk about the product itself. Also working on bringing out reviews, sort of an overview and past experiences with the Ruger American rifles in general. Stay tuned to the channel for that. So the design of this cheek riser is actually really simple. All it does is pop down onto your rifle like so, and then you're able to adjust it higher or lower to match your face. If you're built a little different, you might not like the stock lines, and you might barely need any raise on the actual cheek piece. Some people might need quite a lot, and then the rings that you choose and the height that your scope sits at changes everything even further. So having that adjustment really helps. When you order this, you're just going to get the cheek piece in a bag and a little bit of hardware in a bag as well. These are going to be your cross bolts and the little nut / washers that cover those bolts and secure them into your stock. I went with the Allen key hardware. There's a secondary model that has big like wheels that you turn with your fingers. For a hunting rifle, I want everything slimline and low profile, and I'm not going to be changing my like cheek rest height for pretty much any reason. So having something more permanent with an Allen wrench was better for me. In order to do this install, we're going to need the cheek riser, the hardware I already showed you, a roll of painter's tape or some sort of tape to mark on, and then a drill and some bits. You have to do that. Once you have all that stuff, you're ready to start assembling. So the first thing I'm going to do is cover the back of this stock with tape, just to make sure I'm not marring it or writing on it with Sharpie. You're also going to need a Sharpie. If I don't have to, I'd rather keep this stock clean if possible. So I'm just going to tape this down so that we can mark it. And again, this is not rocket science. I literally might do this whole thing in my office. I have a vise out in the garage, but I don't even think I'm going to need it. This is not built on a design where you have to drill one continuous hole through the stock. If this was a wood stock or something, where I had to be extremely level with that drill bit, then I would probably put it in a vise, and I would probably use a level to make sure I was going straight through the center of that stock. But in this case, since this is a hollow stock, I just need to drill holes. I don't need to drill full bore segments through the stock to let that hole bolt pass through. Okay, so we've got the tape laid down. Now we have to select a spot for our cheek riser to sit. You want to make sure that the distance between this cheek riser and your bolt isn't too close together. Otherwise, you're going to get contact once this rises up. Now, it's pretty hard to do here because it's a short action rifle, but you want to make sure that for your rifle, if you're not shooting a Mesa or a short action Mesa, that this is never going to come in contact with the cheek piece when it's risen up. You also want to make sure that the cheek piece is centered where your cheek naturally centers. If it's all the way back here, then I'm barely getting any on the cheek riser. And if it's all the way up here, then we've got a weird gap happening here and I'm barely on the cheek riser again. So just back it up to right about there. That's comfortable for me. Your results are going to vary. Now we're ready to mark out the holes. So I'm just going to take a Sharpie. This is not complicated at all. And I'm just going to mark. I'm going to have to leave enough clearance. I'm just looking in the viewfinder here. I'm going to have to leave enough clearance for the thickness of the bolt to fit through here. So I'm just going to go maybe a 1/4 inch lower than the top and just make a little dot. So there is the marks from the Sharpie, and transfer them to the other side as well. Okay, so now we've got 4 dots. Now we can take this off and drill our holes. Now I'm just going to go through with a 1/8 inch bit through these holes, or through these marks that I've made. Stabilize the whole rifle so it doesn't move on you until we poke through. So now we're through that. Come back here, do it again. Through there. Step up to a 1/4 inch, which I've lost somewhere. Now it's going to make a mess. It's going to leave fibers on your work surface or whatever. It's just going to be a little cleanup at the end. It's not a big deal. I'm going to flip it over and do the other side off camera. Okay, now that those holes are drilled, go ahead and just remove that masking tape. Now there is going to be some burrs on these holes because this is like a carbon fiber reinforced stock. So it's got some extra fibers to it. They're kind of going to bend out of the way. You can get a deburring tool in there and actually shave those out. I'm going to use a razor blade, which I will just do off camera real quick. But these tabs will fit in here just fine like so. And that will be how your crossbolt goes through your cheek riser. So once these holes are lined up correctly, you can go ahead and take one of these cross bolts here and thread it into the end cap, like so, and then come in from the other side, and those should butt up against each other. So now I can kind of push them from either side, which means they are mated up. Okay, so now this guy is bumping up against that threaded bolt in there. And if we tighten that all the way down, it'll lock this cheek riser in place. So now we're tight on both sides, and that cheek riser's locked. And that's that. So with that installed, you can loosen these 2 screws here, or on either side really, and you can adjust the height of your cheek riser like so. So I just need mine a touch higher. So I'm going to go ahead and lock that in right there. You want it pretty snug, but there's no reason to put undue stress on the whole system. Just snug enough to keep it from moving. And then test, and then move it back and forth until you hit a spot that you're happy with. Okay, and as you can see, we have finished the installation for the cheek riser. As you can see, it's really rigid. I cannot move that up or down once it's torqued into place. This hardware is really low profile, so it's not going to be snagging on anything. I mentioned earlier that I didn't want to go with the thumb screws specifically for that reason. But as you can see, I needed, quite a bit of cheek lift there to get my eye aligned to the scope. And now, when I really cam my head down into that good cheek weld on my rifle, I'm looking straight through the optic itself, which is what you want for sure. If you're interested at all in my experiences with the Christensen Mesa, you're in luck. There is already a video on the channel. I will link it up in the cards right now, going over my impressions, the performance of the Mesa, and everything that I love and hate about it. More so on the love side, just as a spoiler alert, it's been a great rifle for me. So with this being where it is right now, this feels like fairly durable Kydex. Kydex in and of itself is a fairly durable material for holsters, mag caddies, anything you can really think of. And I expect this to hold up perfectly fine. As you can see here, it very easily clears my bolt, and I can also very easily uninstall my bolt. So it's not hindering the function of the rifle in any way. And that's pretty much it. It's not a difficult process. If I can do it, I guarantee that you can do it, and just about anybody can. So as always, thank you very much for watching the video. Hopefully you did enjoy it, and hopefully it was of value to you. If it was of value to you, subscriptions to the channel are free, and there is a subscribe button right down below. Feel free to hit that if you feel so inclined. And that's pretty much gonna wrap it up, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.